Okay, students, let's go over your practice quiz here. Number one, you can use distance formula, or I can plot the 2 points, draw a right triangle, and use Pythagorean theorem. If you draw the right triangle, you'll see the two lengths are 10 and 10, which means you have an isosceles right triangle, which means in the hypotenuse, the distance we're looking for is 10 root 2. I went ahead and showed distance formula. So 5 minus a minus 5 is 10 squared, and negative 3 minus 7 is negative 10 quantity squared. So 100 plus 100 is 200. The square root of 200 breaks down to the square root of 100. That's that perfect square times 2, square root of 2. And the square root of 100 equals 10. Root 2 does not break down, so your answer is 10 root 2, just like you would have gotten if you did the isosceles right triangle. Number 7, now we plug in the graphing calculator. Okay, but in order to plug in the graphing calculator, you need to solve for y. So I need to subtract that 1 across, and it becomes negative 1 over there. I type it right in like that in the graphing calculator. Then I need to solve for y here, so I subtract the x across, becomes negative x, and I add the 3, and 2 plus 3 is 5. So there's my second equation right here. Then I go ahead and just hit second calc number 5, and you hit enter, 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 because the first guess, it doesn't matter where it goes to, it's going to get you when you're at 2 answers. You end up with a parabola, and then going through like this. Okay, you should enter, 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 it'll pop to one of them. Mine popped to this one first, and that was 0.7 comma 4.3. Then I hit second calc number 5 again, and I hit enter, enter for the first two curves, and this time I hit the right arrow to move it closer to the other point of intersection. So once I get it down here somewhere, I can hit enter for the third one for the guess, and I'll jump to that answer right there, which then is 4.3 comma 0.7. Those are rounded to the nearest tenth. Those weren't not the exact answers. Okay, number 8, we have in the coordinate plane the locus of points. That means all points that are 15 these are all the points that are 15 units from negative 8, 8. Okay, anything that's 15 units from there is a circle, forms a circle. So we write an equation of a circle. We do opposite, x plus 8 squared and y minus 8 squared equals 225. 15 squared is 225. Remember, the right side is r squared. So 15 squared is 225. Number 2, we need to look at the two equations to find out if the slopes are parallel or negative reciprocals or neither, or the exact same line. Okay. So this would be same line, which means same slope and same y-intercept. Okay, so this one's already solved. I have 1/3 for the slope, 1/3 x minus 2. I need to solve the second equation for y, and I get 1/3 x plus 3. So the y-intercepts are not the same. So it's not the same line, but they both have a slope of 1/3, which means they're parallel. Okay, number 3, we're going to write two equations. One that's a parallel to this line going through 1,7 and b. One's perpendicular to that line going through 1,7. Remember, perpendicular, negative reciprocal, you write it down. Then once the answer in slope-intercept form, write down what slope-intercept form is, y equals mx plus b. Okay, so I first solve the first equation for y, and I get y equals negative 1x plus 0.5. So the slope's negative 1, so the parallel slope is the same thing, so that's negative 1. The perpendicular slope is the negative reciprocal of negative 1, which makes it positive 1. So there's my two slopes I'm using, and I'm going to start with point slope form, because obviously I have a point and I have the slope now. So I fill in point slope form, y minus 7 equals negative 1 times the quantity x minus 1, distribute the negative 1 through there, and I get negative 1x plus 1, and I add the 7 across. 1 plus 7 is 8, so y equals negative x plus 8. For the perpendicular, I just change in the perpendicular slope right there in the slope part, so that becomes 1. I distribute that 1 through there, and 1 times anything is itself, so it's still x minus 1. And I add the 7 across. 7 minus 1 is positive 6. So y equals x plus 6 for part B. A is 2 points, B is 2 points. Okay. Number 9, solve by graphing the intercepts. That's the x-intercept and the y-intercept. Anytime a point is on the x-axis, the y-coordinate is 0. And anytime a point's on the y-axis, the x-coordinate is 0. Okay? So that's what we're doing here. So the first one I put y equal to 0, which means really this is crossed out. So I get 2x equals 16, x equals 8. Then I make x equal to 0. So I have 4y equals 16, so y equals 4. Okay, so I plot those 2 points, 0, 8. I'll change it to blue, 0, 8, and 8, 0, I meant, and 0, 4. Okay, then I do the same thing with line 2. Negative 2x equals 8, so x equals negative 4 when y is 0. And when x is 0, y equals 2. Let's change that color. So 0, 2 and negative 4, 0. Connect those, and they intersect right here at this green point. That point is 2, 3. They will intersect at a corner. It needs to when you're graphing. And I can take that answer of 2, 3 for the x and the y. Remember, that's x and that's y. And plug those in to both equations, and they both come out to be true. If they're both true, you know your answer is right. So if you plug your point in and it doesn't work for both of them, that means you came up with the wrong point. You graphed incorrectly or your lines were drawn incorrectly. So redo them. All right, okay, we did 3, so 4. P is the midpoint. Point M is the midpoint of segment AB. They're giving you A and they're giving you the midpoint. They want the other endpoint. Very simply, all I do is say, how far do I go from 8 to negative 8 to negative 6? I added 2. So therefore, I have to add 2 again. So negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. And then y, 5 to 5, I didn't go anywhere, plus 0. So it's plus 0. So it's negative 4 comma 5. You could plot that and you could see that that was true as well if you need to plot it to verify. All right, number 5. What's the slope of the line? It's perpendicular. Remember, it's perpendicular. You better be thinking negative reciprocal. So I need to first solve for y here to get that slope. You see I get y equals negative 1/5 x plus 1. So that's the parallel slope, the negative 1/5. Remember, slope is only a number. You better not ever say slope is negative 1/5 x. You better never have an x in there in a slope. It's only a number. Negative 1/5 is the coefficient of x. Okay, so that's the parallel slope. We want the perpendicular, which is the negative reciprocal. So what is the negative reciprocal of negative 1/5? It's positive 5 over 1, which equals 5. That's why you see 5 right there for the perpendicular slope. All right, number 10. We are graphing 2 lines in slope-intercept form. So identify the slope. Negative 2 over 1 is a fraction, down and right. The y-intercept is 0, 3. I plot that. You see that in the green. Then I go ahead and look at the second one, negative 1 over 1 for this slope as a fraction, so it's down and right. And the y-intercept is 0, 2. You see that in the purple. Okay, and you can see it, they intersect right there at 1, 1. And then I can go ahead and guarantee I'm right by plugging that 1, 1 back into both equations up top. You did this last year in Algebra 1, graphing these lines, both systems and systems of inequalities. We just got done doing it here in Algebra 1 right now, my Algebra 1 class. Okay. All right. Number 6. We have a systems of inequalities. Okay, so x equals 5 is a vertical line. This is x has to be 5. 5, 0, 5, 1, 5, 2, 5, 3. Boom. Connect them. You get a vertical line. It's dashed because there's no equal sign. Y equals, or y is less than or equal to negative 1. It's a horizontal line. All the y's must be negative 1. X can be anything. X can be 0. So 0, negative 1, 1, negative 1, 2, negative 1, 3, negative 1. Connect them, and there's your horizontal line, as you see right here. And it's solid because it has an equal sign. Okay. Now, x being less than 5, all the x coordinates are less than 5 are to the left. So that's why you see the purple going to the left. It's got to be in one of those 3 regions. And y is less than negative 1. It has to be below that line. The last piece is right there in that little piece. Okay, got to be below y equals negative 1. And lastly, we have an equation in point slope form. So I need to pull out the point. And remember, it's opposite and opposites. The opposite of plus 1 is negative 1. The opposite of minus 2 is plus 2. So there's my point I'm pulling out. And then my slope right here, 1/3, up 1, right 3. So I plot negative 1, 2 right there and go up 1, right 3. That puts it right there. Up 1, right 3. Draw my line. It's solid because it's got an equal sign with it. And that comes down here, and then it must be shaded above that line. That's where the blue is. So it's above that line and it's below the y equals -1 line, and it's to the left of the x equals 5 line. Okay, so now on your quiz, it won't be in that little tiny spot of your area for shading there. Okay, that goes ahead and explains the practice quiz, 10 minutes.